So, Patriot Front. I mean, the name. I just say the name and I just start laughing, right? Not at the alleged political principles that this group embodies, right? Patriot Front is supposed to be like a group of guys in the United States who are all in favor of a return to traditional values, Trump, MAGA, all this kind of stuff, right? And the thing is, see, it glows, man. It glows neon green, CIA neon green. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's so obviously a group set up by American law enforcement, either FBI or somebody else, right? It's so obvious. And its purpose is, well, I'll get to the purpose in just a minute, but the thing is, the reason I'm bringing it up is that, see, a bunch of them were arrested in Idaho. They were getting ready to do a counter demonstration to a pride parade. A pride parade is, as you may know, it's where a bunch of sexual minorities parade around in burlesque outfits, basically, or worse than burlesque outfits. I mean, real stuff that, I'd feel very, very embarrassed to see either my child or my grandmother watching. I mean, it's just, anyway. The point, it's part of the decadence, and the slow decay, the slow collapse of the empire, right? And so these Patriot Front guys were all there, and they arrested a whole bunch of them. And there's like this video and pictures of them all on their knees with zip ties, their hands tied behind their back with zip ties. But here's the thing: see, all of them, and I mean every single one of them, they were wearing like this uniform that they have, a t-shirt and khaki pants, fine. Some of them had a long sleeve t-shirt underneath, and some just had the one t-shirt, but all the t-shirts were blue, and the pants were all khakis, and they're kneeling there, but they've been arrested, or at least detained, and every single one of them has a baseball cap on. Every single one of them has like a thing covering their face. And a whole bunch of them have sunglasses, making it impossible to identify them from pictures. They're feds, man. I mean, come on. They're feds. See, because when you get arrested, by the police in any country in the world, okay, not just the United States, whatever covering you have over your face, mask or whatever, they remove it so that they can see who you are, okay? They're not going to tie up your hands behind your back with zip ties and have you there kneeling, waiting before they come and pick you up in the paddy wagon and take you to be processed. They're not going to do that and let you have your face covered. No way. The only reason that they would remain with their faces covered is because they don't want anybody to be able to identify them from pictures. These guys are all feds, or they're federal informants. And I would guess that a few of them are people who genuinely believe this stuff and glommed on to Patriot Front. And now they're mixed up and they're in all kinds of trouble because the federal law enforcement officers in this group, they're obviously not going to get charged with anything. And the federal informants, they're not going to get charged with anything. On the contrary, they're going to keep on getting their $2,000 or $3,000 a month for being informants, steady as she goes kind of thing, right? It's the poor suckers who genuinely believe that this Patriot Front group was doing good. They're the ones who are going to wind up going to jail and or paying all kinds of fines. I mean, it's really despicable. Law enforcement set up this group. It's obvious from the get-go. They were too organized. I mean, that's the thing. That's the thing that you realize, no, it's not real. Because they're too organized. They're way too organized. The clothing, the whole thing. It's just, it just reeks of Fed. Just screams Fed. Mm-hmm. And see, of course, this group that has been detained, right, they're going to be processed, and a few of these innocent people who glommed onto this movement, who thought that it was genuine, who thought it was legitimate, they're going to get charged with all kinds of crimes. And it's all going to fall on them, on these poor bastards. And so what's going to happen is that the media later on is going to parade around these patsies, because that's what they are, patsies. They're going to parade them around and say that, look, the neo-Nazis, the fascists, whatever, and blame them for all kinds of stuff. And I would not be surprised that the ones who are like innocent people who thought that joining this group would be a good thing and blah, blah, these people were probably goaded at some point in the past, goaded into some minor crimes by these informants and these law enforcement officers that are undercover. And they probably did something that they shouldn't have, something illegal but relatively harmless. But because of that action, or because maybe even just their words, they're going to get charged with all kinds of crimes. And they're going to be the patsies that the news media is going to parade around and say, oh, this individual, it's always three names, if you notice, John Booth Smith, is like this evil white supremacist. We have to watch out for the white supremacist. And so they are going to create this fictional fear of the white supremacist. The fictional fear of the racist, MAGA hat wearing white supremacist who's out to get you. Because this is just another example of the incredibly divisive nature of the Obama-Biden administration. And I am aware that Joe Biden is supposed to be president, but he's not the real president. It's Barack Obama who's pulling the strings on this puppet. This third Obama-Biden administration, they are deliberately creating enormous, monumental divisions in the United States, and they are actively demonizing half the population of the United States. And this is just another little, a little freak show on the way to the Civil War. A little freak show by the side of the road, as we drive on to the complete Civil War that's going to take place in the United States. This Patriot Front group, some bastard in law enforcement came up with this idea to co-opt the legitimate grievances of half the population to create this fake group so that they could do a fake demonstration to create the political justification for more repression. That's what this is all about. And as these guys get paraded around, there's going to be more and more talk about repression, more and more talk about repression insofar as tech is concerned, censorship, all kinds of repressive measures against people who have legitimate grievances. Just over the last few days, a whole bunch of people that I know on Twitter, they've announced how they've been cut off from PayPal, Venmo. They're being cut off from the essential services of the online world. I mean, several, all at the same time, as we have this ridiculous story of the white supremacist in Idaho. So you see how they're playing it. The Obama-Biden administration in its third term is deliberately trying to demonize half the country, and make no mistake about it, they will soon start to actively and openly persecute you. Understand what's going on. The Real CRP Telegram channel, which has been inactive since mid-April. But you can go to that channel. It has 81,000 subscribers. There, you'll see my discussion of a fellow called, let's call him RP. I'm just making up these initials. So this is what happened. Yeah, I was going on business to Kiev. I live here in Kharkov, and I'm here today. Dude, it's like hot as blazes here. Sweaty, muggy, not nice. Anyway, I went to Kiev in December on business just before Christmas and Western Christmas, and I was staying at a hotel, and I decided, hey, wouldn't it be great to have like a meetup with people who might be in Kiev, who might be fans. So I put out a notice on my CRP channel, my GL channel, and met up with people at the hotel where I was staying. They had like this sports bar there, and there was nobody at the sports bar. And so like about a dozen guys showed up, maybe 10 guys, something like that. And I arrived on time, and in dribs and drabs, they started coming in. Nice fellas, they were guys who liked my content and all the rest of it. And there was this one guy who showed up. And this guy was a big guy. And he was a big guy with like a military haircut and like blonde hair. And he looked mid to late 30s. And he was with another guy. Okay, with a guy whom I had actually met from before, a guy, a Brit, whom I'd met before, and after what I'm about to tell you, I've become very suspicious of the guy, but let me explain what happened. RP. So RP shows up, and, immediately he has this, like, nasal twang that's very stereotypical among gay men. And I'm like, that's weird. Because, I've had other get-togethers, like in Amsterdam I had one, in New York I had one, and the people who showed up, they were guys. But this guy clearly had that stereotypical nasal twang, I can't do it, I'm not a good mimic, but you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? And I thought nothing of it. I thought, some guy might have a twang like that, but that doesn't mean he's gay. It's just that, the way he talks, it means nothing, I thought, right? And so we're talking there and stuff, and the way this guy was talking, and the fact that he hadn't really seen my content, and I forget exactly the specifics, but he mentioned something that I had said in a video, but see, the people who actually followed my videos that would have realized that little detail was being completely ironic and sarcastic and meaning the exact opposite of what I was saying. But he took it at face value. And I forget what it was. It was like a recent video. It's not really important. But the thing is, it sort of like made me perk up. And I started paying attention to it because I've been talking to everybody. And in these kinds of meetups, what I try to do is to talk to everybody so that everybody feels that, they had a nice time, right? And, just out of politeness kind of thing, right? And so I started talking to him. And I said, so here you are, you're an American living in Kiev. How long have you been here? And he was like, oh, I've been here 7 years or 8 years, something like that. From 2012, I believe he said. I could be wrong, but that's not important. He said, from 2012, I decided to come out here because I couldn't take it anymore in the United States. For a guy like me. And like the thought just raced through my head, you mean like a gay guy like you? What are you talking about? In 2012, everything's sitting pretty for a gay guy like you. But I didn't say this, okay? Because, the more he talked and his gestures and whatnot, it was just obvious that he was gay. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying this, in a derogatory way. I'm just saying, it was really obvious that he was gay. By the way he was talking, just as, for instance, you listen to someone talk for a bit, and you can tell this guy didn't have access to that much education, because of the way he talks, the language, the vocabulary, his failed conjugation of verbs or whatnot, and you're like, unfortunately, the guy didn't get that much education just by the way he speaks. Or you can tell a guy just by the way he speaks that, he's going to be kind of like, slightly kind of like a weak-willed individual. He's not going to be like a forthright man who's like steady in his opinions and beliefs. He's going to be like always, you can tell that. And by this guy's language, RP's language and accent, you're like, he's gay. And so when he said that it was like a bad place for a guy like me, the instant thought was, you mean like a gay guy? But 2012 was great for gay guys, and it's even better now, And I didn't say that. I said rather, what do you mean a guy like you? And he said, oh, like a straight white guy like me. And that's when I knew. And fortuitously, one of those weird things that happened, truly like a weird thing, I got a call right then of somebody I had to take it. It was part of the reason that I was there in Kiev to begin with. So I checked my phone and I'm like, I got to take this. I stood up and started turning away to take the call. And as I'm turning away to take the call, I hear this guy, RP. And he's like going guy by guy and he's asking, so what's your name? What do you do? Why are you here? Like assembling like a mental Rolodex of everybody who was there at the sports bar. I knew he was a Fed. I just knew it, you know? And after the call, I sat back down and I just kept on, watching him, and just openly, just staring at him and just watching how he interacted. And, he realized this and he said, like smile, like, what's that? And I told him, you're a Fed. And I told him right there. And there are other people, I mean, there were like 8 other guys there who could back me up. I just said, you're a Fed. You're not who you claim to be. And, the atmosphere got very unpleasant. I didn't give a shit. And he was like, trying to laugh it off. And that's when I knew for sure. See, because there's always, how can I put it? If I accuse you of being a cannibal, you're going to be like, what are you talking about? You're not going to be scared. You're going to be like, I'm a cannibal? What the hell are you talking about, man? Because, of course, you're not a cannibal. I mean, I'm assuming here, of course, right? So if I accuse you of being a cannibal, you're going to be like quizzical, like, what are you talking about? But this guy was scared. Or not precisely scared, but like sort of like, fuck it. Oh, damn it. He got caught. See? That was the thing. He got caught. He knew it. And then when he started saying, oh, he had I forget if I'd mentioned if he'd been in the military or not. Look, like on my Telegram channel that I no longer have access to, the real CRP one that stopped having any activity in mid-April. And by the way, any other Telegram channel that claims to be me is not me, because I am not on Telegram because I don't have access to it. Simple as that. And I can't make it to work on this piece of shit computer that I've got now. So forget it. I am not on Telegram. So that being said, on that real CRP channel that stopped, the last post was in like April 15th when I got picked up by the SBU. On that channel, you will find my entire account, because I wrote it there when it was a lot more fresh in my mind than it is now. But the point I want to make in this video. See, the guy automatically knew that he'd been found out. And, he tried to like, but it was, no, you're a Fed. And I just kept insisting on it. And I'm not a generally paranoid person. But when I spot bullshit, I'm like that little kid, in The Emperor's New Clothes. I can't stop pointing. I'm like, you're bullshitting. You're bullshitting. Because I find it funny. Okay? And so this guy, RP, whose name I have not mentioned, and anyway, even if I mentioned it, it doesn't matter because it's a pseudonym. It's a made-up name with a made-up background. His name is totally different. He stood up and he started saying, I'm just a regular guy. He kept repeating that phrase. I'm just a regular guy. And when I posted this on Telegram, a lot of people said, oh, he's Navy. Or maybe it might have been that, or maybe something else, because he said military guys do that. They say that I'm just a regular guy. I mean, it's not important in this video. What's important is that he was, and the proof came out, and the proof is this. You see, my Telegram channel, full of wonderful autists there, they started digging on, because there I just posted the name of the guy, right? And they started digging, and they found a channel with like 75 videos, something like 73 or 75 videos that this guy had made, like instructional, like videos for like management and to improve efficiency and that kind of like bullshit, right? 73 over like a 2-month span of time. I mean, like putting them out like every 2 days or something, right? And the videos were incredibly well produced. And somebody on my Telegram channel found it, showed it. You can go there and you'll find it. And what happened was that I went to see this channel, okay? And I looked at the videos. And the thing that I realized right away is that the videos were professionally produced. They weren't amateurs. They weren't like videos like by just some random person who's doing YouTube videos. No, they were professionally lit with fill light, probably a bouncer, all kinds of stuff that you're like, yeah, this was professionally done and fairly expensively done. I mean, looking at these videos, it must have been at least each video, at least 2-3 grand to make them. You know, the production company would have charged at least that, if not more. Okay, it was professionally done, professional setting, and the thing is, see that this guy RP, he was the only person there, and he was like talk about stuff, and he'd have like a script, and he looked so uncomfortable. I mean, he looked miserable. I mean, he looked like he would rather be anywhere but there, right? And I'm like, what the hell is this shit, right? And I've come to the conclusion that, of course, that it was created to have some sort of online background for the guy. You know, that he was a YouTuber with all these videos, with all these views, and none of the videos had many views. I mean, all of them less than 1,000. And the thing is, see, many times people will do a video and it'll blow up. It'll go viral. And so people start doing more videos just like the one that went viral, hoping to ride that wave, right? And many of these people who do that, they don't particularly like doing videos. It was just, they were just a one-hit wonder. They did a video, it went viral, and they do a bunch of follow-up videos, hoping to catch that ride and catch that wave, make some money, right? But, you know, it doesn't really work out. But this guy wasn't like that, because he did 70 plus videos. A guy who has a one-hit wonder and starts doing more videos, like a follow-up, he'll do 3, 4, 5 tops. And if none of them go viral, he'll quit. Of course, because you're not going to waste your time on something that is not particularly successful. But this guy did plus 70. He was ordered to do that. It was part of his whole facade bullshit thing, right? Now, so that's my experience with having like a bona fide glow-in-the-dark, you know, checking me out, okay? Now, this guy, I'm positive, he was attached to the American Embassy in Kiev, and he got word of this get-together, and he showed up, not because of me specifically, but just it was a handy way to meet up a bunch of expats and update his database to see who was living in Ukraine, that sort of thing, you know? And see, these glowies, right, and it's something that I've heard from other people who were in intelligence. They told me that, you know, starting during the Obama administration, especially into the end of the first term and beginning of the second, in all of the State Department and CIA and FBI, they had this big push for diversity, racial diversity and sexual diversity. And so you have this guy who is clearly gay, and he was going to a meetup of a bunch of guys who are talking about girls, because, you know, this is back when I was doing my CRP channel, right? And talking about girls and how to get laid. You know, this guy shows up, right? I'm like, what the hell? And so, yeah, that was my experience with the glow-in-the-dark. And my thinking is that these glow-in-the-darks that are in the government now, they are all pushing the SJW agenda, something awful. And anybody who deviates from it, anybody who deviates from the social justice, inclusive agenda, you know, is just evil. And you know, it doesn't matter that more than half the country is opposed to all this shit. That, for them, means that more than half the country is the enemy that has to be suppressed. See, this is what tyranny looks like in the modern age. You know? Some big muscled gay guy, because this guy was real muscled. Okay, I mean, he was a big guy, right? But it wasn't flabby. He worked out. You could tell. You know that kind of gay guy that he was, right? You know, yeah. And my guys on Telegram came up with all kinds of pictures of this guy, you know, from other accounts, like, and potentially, I think they found out his real name. Okay, but yeah. And RP, I know that you're following me. We know who you are. Yeah. But anyway, as the case may be, these people view us as the enemy. Oh yeah. They hate our guts. They want us dead. Yeah. Because to them, see, we're the decadent, degenerate ones. We who think that their behavior and attitude is despicable, see, from their point of view, we're the evil ones. In the United States, it's going to be a civil war. It's already happening, just as the Third World War is happening now. It's already happening. You just have to look around and realize it's happening, okay? The Third World War is happening, and the American Civil War is happening right the fuck now, man. And your government, America bros, your government wants to kill you. I'm not joking. Understand what's going on.